Recording. Welcome back to the I Got It Girl podcast, everybody. And thank you so much for those of you who have been joining in on these earlier episodes as I've launched this podcast. I am so fired up about all the guests that I've been bringing on. And today is, I swear, when I met her, she's like a sister from another mister because we both have this massive travel passion within us. So when she said travel, I was like, I need to know you. So I can't wait for you to get to know Sandy today. So I'm just going to hand it to her to tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to dive into the I Got a Girl story. Go ahead, Sandy. Tell them about yourself.
Jackie, thank you so much for having me. And you're absolutely right. And I love that you're doing this because it's just, we need to hear more stories and more voices as women. So I'm Sandy. I'm Sandra Jessica Colling. My mother, when I did something wrong, it's Sandra Jessica.
Yeah. Oh my
so,
gosh. Yes.
so when I came to America, it was Sandy. So my name is Sandy Colling. I'm originally from Germany, born in France, raised in Germany, came to America in 1993. And it's interesting because I don't feel like I belong anywhere, but I belong everywhere. And
Mm.
so I'm not defined by my nationality, but I really believe I'm a child of the world, and nothing lights up my soul more than travel. I wrote a book on how travel shaped my life, and that's a whole different story. But travel is just something that I absolutely love. And like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I made it a business because I'm like, I've been doing it all my life and a little slow on the uptake. I'm a horse lover. I'm a dressage trainer. I'm a dog lover. I have my Luca, who's the love of my life. And he's a long haired standard Doxy rescue. And yeah, and I speak 3 languages and been to 39 countries and many more on the agenda.
I love it. I love it. I did not know you were a horse trainer. It's funny. I love doing these with people that I know pretty well. We have lots of conversations, and then I hear a new piece. I'm like, oh, I had no idea that you did that. So that's
Dressage. Yep.
awesome. One of my
Yep.
dreams is my future, the day I decide to buy a home again, which I feel like part of me never wants to do that. But when I do, we're gonna have two horses. I want at least two horses on that property for us to
Aw.
go riding and stuff. And I'm not, I've never been a big rider, but I just love horses. So
Yep.
dogs and horses, same thing.
Yep.
And her dog is named after one of her favorite places to visit, a place in Italy. So I
Exactly.
love
Just
that.
spelt a little differently, but yes, Luca after Luca.
I love that.
Very
So
true.
so obviously, guys, like you can tell she's going to be a very interesting individual to get to know. So feel free. We'll drop all the links. We'll drop stuff for her book and everything down below. But I wanted to dive into, as this podcast is all about the I Got a Girl story, the story of when most of us live this life from survival and control and fear, but we can actually have a really decent life. I made money, I had jobs, I got myself through college and all that other stuff, but from a very fiercely independent way of being. And there's some all different points in life where the I got it girl, which we don't have to let go of her as we go through this journey, but we do have to kind of let go of that, feel like we have control over everything in life, and stop living from a place of fear and survival and move into this place of thriving from a place of like love, trust, surrender. And all the stories that are being shared in this podcast are highlighting different stories of women. So what's your story of where you felt like you made that shift? Like you were the I got it girl. I can fix it. I can take care of it. I can handle it. Because God knows I was addicted to problem solving. And that's a good quality. And it's a not so good sometimes. So
Absolutely.
what's one that comes up for you when I tell that?
So there are many, but my my big story is so I married at the age of 20 for all the wrong reasons. That's a whole nother story.
Mm-hmm.
And I was married
Mm-hmm.
28 years and to an Irishman from Dublin, Ireland. And I don't want to say, I don't want this to sound wrong, but the stereotypical alcoholic runs in, it's I would say it's in the genes. I really would. So I
Mm-hmm.
was married to my ex-husband for 28 years, alcoholic, and fast forward, one day I was at a breaking point and I wanted I wanted the marriage to work with all my might. And I would say loyal to a fault. And I did all the things. And eventually there came a point where he my daughter at the time was like 16, and he waved his fist in front of her face. He never I have to say this. He was never violent. He was never physically violent, never
Mhm,
physically
mhm,
violent. But he waved his fist in front of my daughter's face and called her a fucking bitch. And
mhm,
that's when I knew, because the kid was not bad. They're good kids. Like
mhm,
she was a teenager, but she was not a bad kid. And that's when I knew I had to make a difference. Now, I was financially dependent on him.
mhm,
I was a full-time horse trainer and I had 3 horses, so there's no money in that. It just goes back into the horses. And but I knew I had to make a change.
mhm,
So I asked him to leave very calmly one day. And within 3 days, I was evicted from my home. I didn't have any income because I didn't know, but he had actually lost his job because of alcohol. I'm not even going to go into all the
mhm,
minutia, but for about 2 weeks, I felt sorry for myself. And I
mhm,
actually just cried and victim and poor me and all the things until I woke up one day and I said, the kids have nobody but you because his family's in Ireland and I don't have family. My parents are long gone. I don't have, I have no siblings. And I knew the kids had nobody but me.
mhm,
So I completely reinvented myself. I because my profession at the time, besides the horse thing, was interpretation and translation. Well, where we lived, it just, because everybody in Germany it was a little different, but in America, I couldn't get a job. So I did all kinds of odds and ends. I cleaned toilets, I did construction work. I mean, here's a woman with a degree. But you know what? If you have to eat, you have to eat. I was on food stamps. I was at rock bottom, but I was happier than I had been
mm.
in years.
Oof. So let me just touch on a couple things because I know there's a lot more to this story from that point on. But when you I love when you said earlier, like, I'm gonna make this work, because 28 years is a long time to move through something that you're not quite happy with, that you probably knew in that inner knowing, that gut, or like, but as women, we get to this place of like, and men, but we're gonna make it work. Like, I'm gonna
Mhm.
fit, what is the old saying? I'm gonna fit the circle into the square. Like, I'm gonna take
Yeah.
the circle peg and fit it into the square. No, it just doesn't fit, or it's not working. And yet I'm gonna make it work. I mean, I think I've told you, but I don't know if I've actually covered this on any of the episodes yet, but my ex is gay, and I think I knew that like early on in the
Mhm.
relationship and figured it out. But yet I was like, I can make this work. No, there's got to be. Sorry, but you can't change. That's quote unquote, right?
Mhm.
And so this fierce independent, I can fix it. I can fix the problem, keeps us in things longer than we need to be or should be, right? And
Absolutely.
so that I like that you explain the breaking point of when he, like, approached your daughter like that, and I love that kind of broke the spell, if you want to call it. But that we have to let go. We have to let go at that point of that. I can fix it. I can make it work, because I know people can relate to that story. Okay, so now continue.
So, yeah, no, it's absolutely true, and, after I then finally did, kick him out, and the evening before, actually, that I asked him to leave very, very calmly, which I have a temper, which in the meantime, I've kind of like, but I still had a temper at the time, but I was so calmly the next morning asked him to leave, but the evening before, we were sitting at the dinner table, I'd made dinner, and, my son, who was sitting next to my ex-husband, and my daughter was sitting next to me, my son asked me, "Oh, mom, this is a great recipe. Is it a new recipe?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And my ex-husband pushed his plate, would hit mine, and it went into, it knocked onto mine, and it went into
Mhm,
my lap. And that's when I mean, that was Neve was one thing when he said that, and then that was
mhm,
just that's it. So, my daughter, when I then the next day, when they came home from school and I told them, my mother said to me, "Well, you should have left dad 10 years ago."
mhm,
But the reason I didn't was because of the kids.
mhm, mhm,
Because you stay and the one thing I learned is kids know. You can
mhm.
pretend, you can kids know. They
This is huge.
absolutely know. And if I had to go back and rewind time, I would have loved him 10 years earlier
Mhm,
because I think the kids were more affected by the fact that I did stay with him rather than I had left him. So that was a big eye opener.
Yeah. This brings me to a very common thing that I hear. And so I know many are going to relate to this. We stay because we think we're doing a favor for someone else, or we're doing good for someone else. And we neglect ourselves in the
Yeah.
process, right? Like we know we want something different. We know we want to walk away. We know that this isn't right for us. And yet you stayed for the kids. So it's an understandable concept of thought. And yet when we don't put ourselves first and take care of what is best for us, everybody suffers in our life. It's actually the opposite of what we think it's going to be, right? And so I will, in the mentorship that I like work when I work with my clients, like the primary focus is how can we get you back to you, loving you, owning you, awakening, empowering all the things you, because everybody will benefit and everybody will get the best version of yourself. So moms, if you're listening and you're staying
Yeah.
for a reason for your children, listen to Sandy that it's like, it's not, you're not doing it for them. You're actually hurting them and yourself. So take care of you, do what's best for you, and the rest will follow. The rest will be happier because of that.
And my daughter said to me, "Mom, you need to take care of yourself because if you don't take care of yourself, who's going to take care of Connor and I?"
I
I
can't wait to
always
meet your
said
daughter
my
one day.
mother I always said my mother was my daughter was my mother in a former life. I've
Mhm,
always said this. She is wise. She was at the time wise beyond her years, but she said that to me because I remember again, I have no family in America.
mhm, mhm,
And we were living in New York at the time and my ex-husband, they're all in Ireland and the kids went to school here, so they were living in America. And they said, and Neve said, she said, and I remember I was heartbroken because all of a sudden I had no income. Again, I have to, there's always two to tango. I will say that. It always takes two to tango. I
mhm,
can't blame I should
mhm.
never, and that's something I instilled in my kids, never become financially dependent on a partner. Ever.
I was just going to
Um,
bring that up too. That's the second point I wanted to bring up of your story is
yep,
that you need your own identity. As a woman,
absolutely.
you have to have your own identity. It can't be just mom, spouse, whatever. You need
Yep.
your own so that when, I mean, anything, and multiple circumstances. It's not like it could be a bad relationship, it could be a death in the family, it could be whatever, but you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. It's very common that it's not.
100%.
Yeah.
And absolutely, well, that was me. No,
Mhm.
finite, and again, I relied on him way too much. So, but I knew I had to, feed. I did. That's the point that I had to give up my horses because it was feeding the kids, feeding the horses. It was a
Mhm.
toss up, but the kids won in the end. They're like, "Mom, we know you
I
really
love
wanted
it.
to keep Romeo, Mona, and Sonny, but it's
Thanks for feeding
okay.
us.
Yeah, thanks for feeding." Exactly. And I did what I had to do, but what really was the turning point for me is a lot of deep inner spiritual work.
Mm,
And I had been meditating. This is a whole, again, another whole nother's on and off since the age of 7 next to my mother. And there's a reason for that and all the things. But so I was a meditator to some degree,
mhm,
but I found, or he found me dead at the time, but my spiritual mentor, Dr. David Hawkins, letting
mm,
go. And I really dug into that work. And I didn't just read the book, but I embraced it and I lived it.
mm.
And I realized and now over years this did not happen overnight. It's like it
Right.
was sounds like right. And even now I have a deep spiritual practice. I have a very strong spiritual practice. I follow, you can label it one thing or label it that thing. In the end, it's all the same
All
spiritual
the same.
philosophy.
Absolutely.
My mentor, I still read a lot of Dr. David Hawkins, Letting Go, David Guillaume, I don't know exactly how Kabbalah. And it's basically all the same philosophy, really. And
Mhm,
I just practice that and I have this deep knowing. It's not just like I know and I'm going to talk myself into it, but I have this deep knowing that everything is going to be okay. And I
mhm,
really can say that I have I see, especially in my travel business, I see so many women that have so much fear. In fact, I had a guest on my podcast and she's doing something really cool. She's doing like this hiking membership thingy she's starting, but she said a lot of women are have a lot of fear. And I literally asked her on the podcast, I'm like, what are they afraid of? Because I can honestly truly say that there's not I have one fear. I have a fear of suffering, dying, like, miserably, but I do
Mhm.
not have a fear of death at all,
Mhm.
and there's a story to that too. But, I really have this deep knowing that everything is exactly as it's meant to be. I have a deep knowing that we are exactly where we're meant to be and that everything was put in our path for a reason. I would
So
not
good.
be the person I am today had I not been on food stamps, had I not been evicted from my home, sleeping on a friend's couch,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back, not at the time, I'm incredibly grateful that actually happened to me or that I allowed it to happen or that I chose it to happen, right? Because in the end, we're some of our choices, right? We're some of all our choices. And I've made some really stupid choices, but
Girl,
there's
girl,
a
girl.
reason for that.
Yeah, and so this comes back to a lot of radical responsibility for self, right? And that radical responsibility for self understands that we, and again, maybe not in the moment, but we are creating our lives. And sometimes we go, well, then why did this happen to me? Didn't
Mhm.
happen to you, it happened for you. Like, how can you really look at it? And I talk about this acronym a lot called PAR, and it's we just have to, when something, we're going through something in life, all those moments that you have spoken to about, it's like we learn over time how to do this in the moment, but usually it's happening after the situation,
Mhm.
maybe a month to a year later. We think, okay, pause, assess, react, respond instead of react.
Yeah.
We like to just react to things
Mhm.
and blame others and all that other stuff. Well, if we can pause and assess the situation, respond to it, we're going to find what the receiving and the releasing that has to happen. Because everything, like you said, I want to highlight this, everything is a gift in some way. It's a learning in some way. It's something that we're meant to receive. And there's pieces of everything that we got to release, girl. We got to let go. Like,
Absolutely.
right? The anger, the pissed offness. Like, yeah, I want you to feel it because God knows I didn't feel till I was 47. I didn't allow
Mhm.
feelings. But feel it and let it go. Like, why
Yep.
hold on to it? It doesn't serve you. So, whatever doesn't serve you in that situation, let it go, but receive what does. And that 2024 episode 2 talks about all about 2024 and how it really, I thought I learned this surrender and trust concept, but that was like the smackdown keep surrendering, keep
Mhm.
surrendering, and surrender some more. And it taught me like so much that year. So listen to episode 2 if you want to hear about that.
Well, it is,
So
it's that next layer, right? And it's, as Dr. David Hawkins in Letting Go, and I have, I'm looking there because that's where all my Hawkins books are. But Letting Go, he, breathe into it, acknowledge it, and then
mm,
let it go. And what I have learned too is any situation, even if it is the shittiest situation that you can possibly imagine, I always find the good in the bad.
yes.
Now, not right away, it's like, "Fuck this," and then I'm like, "Okay, take a step back and acknowledge, like you just said, it didn't happen to me, it happened for me, and what is the good that came out of this?" Banal, how do you say that in English? As a trivial, example, not trivial, but as a whatever example, you have a car accident and your car is totaled, but the good is you're okay, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
always the good in the bad.
Yes.
And, I really I practice that now. Initially, I read it and, but it's always that layer. Like, I read it and I thought I was practicing it and I thought I was living it and then this came. So it's a constant, it's an evolution.
Hmm.
And going, always taking it a little step further in for me in my practice and in my learnings, in my
I
study.
love I love that you bring that up, that piece of and I'm still learning. Like I do it and then there's a moment and then and then I layer it on. Because I think sometimes when we get into this world of self-development and all of the different modalities and practices that we can do, it gets a little bit overwhelming because we're like, I need to do that and that and that every day and perfectly and 7 days a week and then we beat ourselves up for not being perfect at meditation and perfect at this. Let me be honest, I'm the ADHD child of self development. Like one day I'm like, let's go take a walk, and that's my self care, and then another day it's like I listen to a meditation. Another day I do Reiki, or like
Mhm.
it just depends on my mood, and some days I do none of it, and that is okay. So
Exactly.
don't get caught up in the like if you have a perfectionism swirl going on in your brain, like don't get caught up in like as you learn stuff, like take what you like and leave the rest and let it be aligned with you, because not everything's a fit. And
And what does
which
perfect even mean?
right, there is
There
none.
is no perfect.
Right,
Exactly.
exactly.
Exactly. And no, you're absolutely right. I mean, my ideal morning, I get up, I meditate, I journal, I read, and all the things. And then I wake up late and the dogs want to go out. And then I have a Zoom call and I can't meditate right. Oh, well, let it go.
Yeah.
It's not like your day's going to change. There is no such thing. And sometimes it's good because we get for me, I can't speak in general, but for me, if I get too like mono and it's always the same, it loses its
Hmm.
effectiveness too. So,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. There is no perfect, there is no right or wrong. And what's good for you isn't good for me, right? We're all different. So
Yes.
finding that what works. And I mean, I love my ideal morning is getting up at 5 o'clock, which I, for the most part, do. Sometimes I sleep a little later, but for the most part, make my cup of coffee while it's making, and I'm a coffee snob on a side note. I do my pour over. I have a roaster in Brooklyn that I get my subscription from. So I love good coffee. That's one thing that I'm a coffee snob. And I make my pour, do my thing, and then I go meditate and then all that, but it doesn't always happen like that, right? Life
Right.
gets in the way.
Right.
Life
Right.
happens.
Okay, so coffee snob. Is that because of the all the places you've been and the coffee like been experiencing across the world? Because I want to dive into how you got to this having this travel business now, right? How did
Mhm.
this start? Because you had a corporate job, you had jobs and stuff like that in the past, and now you have your own business doing what you absolutely love. And she's so good at it, guys. She's helping us, me and a friend of mine, plan a retreat now, and in Italy, and it's one of her favorite places. I
I
haven't
can't
been yet. So excited.
I can't
Um,
wait.
but I'm curious, is that because of your travel that you're a coffee snob, or has that just always been the case?
I've always been a coffee drinker. In fact, my son teases me because I'm going to blame it on Connor. Connor, if you're listening to this, I'm blaming it on you. We all blame it on him. So I I introduced Connor to coffee when he was like 9 or 10, but only decaf. And he's like, "Well, you made me into this." But then he managed a coffee shop in the FiDi in New York and really took it to the next level, like into the science and into cupping. I mean, all the things. And he wrote a book on And so I really like, you know, I've developed a palate for it and I can't drink I just can't. I would rather not have coffee because
Hmm.
I wake up to have coffee. I don't have coffee to wake up. I
I love that.
I just it's that ritual. It's more than just the taste. It's the whole ritual and the pour over and
Yeah.
all the things. So no, I don't think it's because of my travels. I think it's because of my son.
Well, I actually can't drink coffee now because my body doesn't respond well to it, which so now I'm the mushroom coffee, the shake, the fake coffee drinker, but I have fun with it. I take it with my protein powder and I make a mocha out of it. It's my chocolate protein powder and mushroom coffee. Anyway, and my friends
That's
call it
awesome.
dirt water, but that's okay. Um but I worked for Starbucks for 6 years, and they took us to Seattle and we did cupping and we did all the things. We got to go
Mhm.
into the facility and learn how they roasted and all the different things. So I was pretty passionate about it for a while until I realized what it was doing for me, and got
Mm.
tested and all sorts of stuff. And I'm very highly sensitive to caffeine. So
Oh
it
wow.
with something like if I drink caffeine after like 11 o'clock in the morning, I won't sleep that night because it literally sits in my body like I'll be hyperactive and heart pounding out of my chest. And I know so many people could drink it right before bed, right?
I drink a double
So
espresso and I go to sleep.
right, right.
That's
So
why
it's
I say I
everybody's
wake up to
different.
drink coffee, not drink coffee to wake up.
I
It
love
does
it.
nothing for me. To
Okay.
as when I say it does nothing for me, it does not keep me none of that. Like
Yeah.
people say I need caffeine. No, I'm
No.
coffee.
Yeah, and I love the smell, and I actually love the taste, and I love the ritual too. I just my body didn't love it back.
There's
So,
a great roaster in Florence, though, D'Artagnan, that we went to several times. I mean, delicious. Because Italian coffee, sorry, I love
I'm
it.
gonna
Italy.
try it when I go out there. I'm
It
not saying I'm
sucks.
not I
But this roaster, I'm not a Italian coffee. To me, it's awful. But this roaster is delicious. So,
okay, I'll take note of that.
coffee.
So now that we're talking about, travel and foreign stuff, I would love for you to dive into and share with them how did you lead yourself into this travel business, and then tell us more about, like, what you do for people.
So, I grew up traveling. I literally grew up traveling, and so I've been helping people travel all my life, like literally all my life. Where do I go when I go here? What do I do when I'm just done it? I just did it. And then about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years now, I was thinking about making a change. And
Mhm.
so I'm, like I mentioned, an equestrian. So I had this brilliant idea, equestrian journeys. So I put together two group
Mm.
trips, one to Italy, I mean, one to Ireland and one to Germany. Germany was the first one, very horse heavy, a lot of culture. So they weren't riding trips. They were, we went to the oldest stud farm in Germany and then we went to go see a castle type thing. Great
Mm.
response. People loved it. But then horse people were a funky breed. So I decided I'm going to do this for just in general, lead group tours. And then I lost my job last July. And I applied and I applied and I applied. And the
Mhm.
creator, universe, spirit, whatever said, nope, nope, she's not getting another job. She's not getting another job. She needs to do travel full time. And then I'm like, why am I trying to force something where I'm naturally good at it? Nothing lights up my soul more. And so that's how I pivoted into travel full time, did my certification as a travel advisor. So, if somebody comes to me, I want to book a trip to XYZ, I can book it. But I also lead group tours. So,
Mm.
China, Germany, you know, the Christmas markets in December, which I'm really excited about this year, and all the things. So, that's kind of how I just fell into that. It's something that I've been doing all my life, but I never was paid for it because I didn't charge for it because I'm like, "You don't get paid for something you love to do. That's not a thing."
Okay. Okay. Let's hit on that one for everybody. It's like when it comes easy, we feel guilty making money for it. And yet, when things come easy to us, we should be making a crap ton of money for it
Right?
because it's our natural gift and talent and what we're put on this earth by God, universe, whatever you believe in, to like do in the world. And so I just had a coach the other day tell me that she's like, you discount your natural gifts, meaning you don't believe that you should get paid that much for them because it's too easy for you.
Yeah.
That's why you should get paid more because it's so easy for you and you help simplify it for people. So,
And
boom, for you.
no, but it's so true. I never thought I'm like that can't be. And you love to do. It's like, okay, I was paid for horseback riding lessons and that's a passion of when I taught people to ride, but I probably didn't try because it's my passion. And I do, but travel literally I jump on an airplane and my soul lights up more
Yeah.
than anything. So yeah, so you're absolutely right. It's like, why am I not getting paid for this? And so I finally realized that yes, you can get paid for your dream, for
Yes.
your passion, for what and you're good at it.
Yes. And there's the school of thought that's like if you're, let's say you're a musician, right? And you're somebody who like passionately can play the piano. Sometimes they think if I get paid for this, it becomes a job. It shifts the perspective of
Mhm.
it, and then I no longer enjoy the thing. I have a client who's gone through that transition of like I don't want to. I'm classically trained, and yet I don't want to because it became a job and it wasn't a passion
Mhm.
anymore. So we're working her back into the passion of like you're like this is like what brings you like lights your soul up, and so
Mhm.
you get to be doing it to bring that joy to yourself in your life, not from a pressure. So I call it pressure versus pleasure. If you're doing something from a place of pleasure, making money doing it, then and it's bringing you absolute joy, like do more of that. Hello, like that
Mm.
is but if you're doing something from a place of pressure and I should be doing this and that, da, 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 like it takes away the joy and the fun, and the money gets very restricted because we're in a pressure place versus a pleasure place.
I was gonna say it kind of blocks that abundance flow because there's no flow. And that's one of the shifts that I've done recently. So when I did lose my job in July, initially it was like, oh shit, I need to pay bills still. And what am I gonna do?
Been there.
But I'm like, and savings, but I just surrendered. I just let go, and I
Mhm.
just put it out there, and there's that automatic flow, and then I know when it stops flowing it's something that I'm energetically putting out there,
Ooh, that's
and then
good.
I shift my energy, shift my vibration, raise my consciousness, and the flow, then it's like, okay, here we are again, the river's flowing. So it's true, it's so true. And it sounds so woo woo, but even non woo woo people, it's science, right? In
It
the
is.
end, it's
Absolutely.
science.
Yep. Absolutely. Energy is energy. And the more I learn about how a big one for me, like with the energy concept that woke me up, it's like, I talked about the Enneagram on another episode with somebody and how I'm the helper. And I was like, I gotta help people. I gotta help people. But the unhealthy helper is the one who ends up like expecting something back, like from the
Mhm.
person that they're giving to. And when I learned the concept that like I can give to you with no expectations of receiving back, but energy flows, so I will receive from another
Yep.
avenue somewhere, right?
Yep.
And so it takes away the transaction feeling
Mhm.
too. So I went through the year 2024 where I needed a lot of people to help me. Like I needed places to stay. I needed this, and everybody like opened their homes to me to take care of me. And the old version of me been like, I've got to buy them presents. I got to give them gifts. I've got to like pay them.
Yeah.
The version of me now is like, receive, Jackie. These people, it's a gift for them to give to you. It's a gift for them to serve you. It's a gift for them to help you. And if you desire to give them a gift card or something like to help them or make a meal, okay, but don't do it from a place of I must.
Yeah.
Don't make life transactional.
Exactly.
And when we do that, it takes away all of the joy and the love and the preciousness of the giving and the receiving flow. So
Absolutely.
you said, and the river started flowing again. I'm like, stop damming your river, people. Stop like jamming up your river
Right.
because we are
Right.
damming up the flow because we're either overthinking, we're trying to be in too much control, or whatever the
Yeah.
scenario. So let it flow. Let it flow.
Well, I was in Barcelona in February, March, February, I guess. And on the way back, the flight in Barcelona was canceled. Well, to make a long story short, when a in Europe, this is EU law, a flight gets canceled, there's different layers, but if a flight gets canceled, you are by law entitled to 600 euro compensation from the airline. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So there was a lady that was in the group with us. She was traveling alone. She was older. Found out later she was 71. She's still a practicing attorney, really cool lady. But she made the claim and she was denied. I'm like, no, 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 no. She texted me, this is exactly what you need to do because I got mine. This is exactly what you need to do. And she did it. And she texted me. She says, oh my gosh, I got it. Thank you so much. Next thing I know, 2 weeks later, totally forgot about the whole incident. 2 weeks later, I get a thank you card and a gift card in the mail, $100. And I'm like, oh, but you do things because you want to help, because you want to
Yeah.
provide. I hate, okay, I shouldn't say I hate, but it drives me nuts. It's so overused. I'm serving. I'm not serving. I'm not a servant, but I do give and I help and I support where I can.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I really believe, like you said, it comes back to us in some way, shape, or form. But practicing, and that's another thing that I've really practiced, that I've really learned is practicing non-attachment. Practicing non-attachment to a lot of things. And I'm as far to say that I don't like stuff. I like Pershing. I have this that grandfather clock there. It's like 200 years old. I want to get rid of that damn thing so bad. And Neve wants it. My daughter, I'm like, come pick it up because I would throw it out. I don't, it was my
I'm
mother's
the
and the
same.
family. I don't care. So it's 200 years old. It could be 1,000 years old. I just really practice non attachment. My dog I'm attached to, but I do work on that actually too. Practicing that non attachment. Because like there's always that next layer. But
Hmm.
yeah, so absolutely.
So, girl, we could talk forever, as you know.
Yes.
And just for the sake of everybody's listening time, I want to wrap this up with what's your like final nugget that you want to make sure people leave with? You've talked about some very personal stories with us and some letting go, and you're going into your business and the trusting and all the different things you shared. What's your biggest thing you want them to walk away with?
The one thing well, there's so many things, but what I
Mhm.
would really say is even though it takes time and it takes practice, but really trying to find the good and the bad, and
Mhm.
the universe is not conspiring against you. The universe always
Yeah.
give you what you need, and trying to understand or realize that it's a gift, even though it may seem like not a gift. Even
Huge.
if it can be horrible, and of course our brain immediately take away the intellect and dig deep down. Don't try to figure it out because that's not going to happen, but the answer will come. But really trying to practice that, I that's really honestly throughout the years, and again, it doesn't happen overnight. Well, it didn't for me anyway.
Mhm.
But practicing and just always going back to that is the biggest gift I've given myself.
You are describing, there's a bunch of pieces in helping someone trust, like trust more, trust in self, trust in God, trust in universe, trust in, the process, trust in the journey. Trust is where when people, one of the biggest things people ask, like say they want in their life is more peace. Now, there's still always going to be some chaos in life, so we get to have peace amongst the chaos. What brings peace is when we can do exactly what you just described, is really trusting that it's happening, it's truly happening for us, trusting that
Mhm.
this, like, okay, what is it that in this moment is, what is it teaching me now? Whenever there's like a resistance or an annoyance or something, I'm like, what do I need to heal? Like, what inside of
Mhm.
me is like
Yep.
pushing against this? What inside of me is judging this person? What inside of me, like, even my husband, even with
Yep.
my husband, like, it's it's why am I annoyed with him right now, right? Because like I've
Yep.
had so many conversations about marriages lately. For some reason, relationships has been a big piece of my business, which is funny because I never thought that would be the case. So thank you for sharing that. It is so important that
Mhm.
we truly see why life is happening for us, no matter how chaotic or bad it feels. We're not telling you, by the way, one thing I want to be clear, we are not telling you to like push away the feelings, stuff them down, hide them. No, like feel the feels. Like if you're
Mhm.
fucking pissed, be pissed. If you're sad, be sad. If you're whatever, feel it. Just don't live there.
Just don't live there.
Don't
Trust the
live there.
process. Exact. And
Yeah.
that's like if there's one book I've gifted this book to so many people, Letting Go by Dr. David Hawkins,
I'm
because
gonna
that's
look that up
exactly
as
what he
soon as we
talks
get
about.
off.
Feel the feels, feel into it, sit with it for a minute, and then let it go.
Yes, yes, yes,
Absolutely.
yes. I
This
will
book, yeah,
I
it's
will look
yeah.
that book up and I will drop a link in the show notes for that
Mhm.
book because you've mentioned it quite a bit. So I can tell
Yeah.
it's been a huge impact. So I look forward to checking it out too. So last thing is, where can they find you? How can they stay in your world if they decide they want to stay in your world?
If you want to stay in my world, sorry, my alarm just came on. I do travel, and you can find me at support at Just Travel with Sandy. I'm all over social, literally pretty much every social
Yeah,
media
she is.
platform you can think of. And I have a podcast called Just Travel with Sandy.
Oh
And
yeah, check
yeah,
that
but
out.
yep, absolutely. You can email me, text me, whatever. But my email is support at Just Travel with Sandy. And that's my website
Excellent.
too, which is currently being revamped, but it will be up. It's there, but it's going to be new and improved.
Oh, I love it. I'm excited. Yeah, I want to know the play, like when she's doing trips and she's like wherever she has those listed, and all this will be dropped in the show notes. You want to check them out because like her trips aren't just like let's go do the touristy thing of the blah blah blah.
Mhm.
No, her trips are like let's experience the culture. So when I
Yep.
say stay in touch with Sandy, when I say you want to make an ease and grace trip for you and your family, your partner, whatever, like please connect with her. So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being here today. It's been
Thank
such an
you.
honor.
It's been
And
great.
I can't wait for people to hear all about you
Oh,
and your magic and actually, experience you through this podcast. So thank you.
thank you,
All
Jackie.
right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I so appreciate your time that you spend with me because I believe anybody who spends time or money with me is a dear client and friend to me. So I look at it that way. Please don't forget to subscribe or follow so that the next bright and shiny object, a shiny person that comes into my world gets into your box so that you can listen to the next beautiful soul that I bring on here. Because the people that I bring on here have made an impact in my world, and that's why I'm bringing them in here so that they can make an impact in your world. So thank you so much.